You've probably heard of a last will and testament, but what about living trusts? Those are for rich people, right? That's what a lot of people think, is that a trust is only for the wealthy. But today we're going to go over some scenarios where a living trust can be beneficial to you and your family. I'm Mark Petersen, the owner of Snake River Law, and we help clients and families create estate plans that are beneficial to them and their family now and in the future. Oh, and guess what? You're probably going to fall into one of these categories of needing a living trust for you and your family. So the first situation where a living trust is really beneficial is if you own real estate. So that can include your family home, it can include recreational properties, it can include properties in different states. Having a trust is really beneficial because it helps you keep the property out of probate and makes it really easy to transition that property to future generations, even if it is just to liquidate that property. If you own two properties in different states, you actually end up having to probate that property in both states, which increases your cost and expenses, and a living trust can avoid that. Okay, the second situation where a living trust would be really beneficial for your family is if you are a small business owner. If something happens to you as a small business owner and you don't have any planning in place, that business essentially is at risk of dissolving or not operating anymore, being lost essentially for your family. And so living trust can become integral in the transition plan of that business so that your family can benefit from that in the future, or if necessary, that it can be liquidated and transferred to different owners for the benefit of your family. Also, if you have different owners and different members in that business, then the transition between your heirs and that other owner would be smooth and efficient, and make sure that it's, again, a benefit and an asset for your family, and not something that's caught up in the court system or in litigation. The third situation where a living trust is really important is if you have minor children. So without a living trust, if minor kids inherit money at the age of 18, they get it all in cash without any restriction. Through a living trust, you can plan for that transition in their lives to make sure that that trust money that they receive through inheritance is actually there for their benefit, that they receive that in a responsible way, and that it's controlled over a period of time to make sense for your family. So instead of having just a big windfall at 18, they could actually have that stretched out over time and be a benefit for a lot of years. Also, when they're minors, that trust is there to make sure and protect them for their health, education, maintenance, and support. So if any of those things come up while they're still minors, the trust is there to make sure that they're taken care of and that money is there for their benefit if something does happen to you. The fourth situation where a living trust is really beneficial is if you potentially will have a disabled heir, so somebody that's on some form of disability. So that could be something, like Down syndrome type issues where they're born with that. That could be a disability they acquire later in life. But those individuals are typically on Social Security disability, and then they also have Medicaid benefits. If they receive an inheritance directly, they're going to lose those benefits, at least temporarily. And that can be a significant financial burden on them, and their whole entire inheritance potentially could go to medical expenses, for example. And so a living trust can help structure a situation through special needs planning where that disabled beneficiary, disabled heir, can receive their entire inheritance without disqualifying them from their federal and state benefit programs. So the fifth situation where a living trust is really helpful is if you have a blended family. So there's always a risk when you have a blended family that if one spouse dies, that the surviving spouse could disinherit the other side of the family. Likely that spouse doesn't want to do that, but you never know when those stepchildren convince them that is the appropriate thing to do. So a living trust can actually have a structure set up in it so that when one spouse dies, it sets the inheritance so that both sides of the family will receive their inheritance and a surviving spouse cannot disinherit or exclude the deceased spouse children. So the next situation where a living trust becomes important is if you value your privacy and want to eliminate or minimize any type of government interference. So if all you have is a will or no estate planning, your assets are subject to probate and having to go through that court process, which is also fully public record. So anybody, including creditors, can look at that and see what's out there and decide, if they want to make a claim against your assets. But a living trust is actually private and it's not open to the public, and so that stays in your family. You don't have a court making decisions for your assets or your estate, but that's just kept within your family, and they take that and they control that. and don't have to disclose that and the proceedings related to the trust to any type of government officials. So just to recap, if you own real estate, you own a small business, you have minor kids, disabled child or heir, a blended family, or you just want to have privacy and keep things out of probate and essentially government interference, a living trust may be the right answer for you and your family. So we help people create living trusts, and we'd love to be of a service to you and help you. So you can give us a call at 208-406-9885 to schedule a family wealth planning session where we can go over your desires and goals and see if a living trust is right for you. If you have any other estate planning questions, we would love to help with those also. So again, you can just give us a call at 208-406-9885, and we would love to be of assistance to you and your family.